Welcome to the Studio Chat podcast. My name is Barbara Thompson. Each week, I'll be bringing you a self-care expert or a message to help you to discover how to live your best life and understand your mind-body connection. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now, let the Studio Chat begin. Welcome back to another episode of the Studio Chat podcast. My name is Barbara Thompson, and today for episode 47, I'm joined with the beautiful, incredible, talented Kimmy. Hi, Kimmy.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm really great. I've been wanting to talk to you. I've had my eye on you for a while to invite you onto my podcast, and this is a really special episode. I know you've got a lot of things to share with my audience who are just going to love it. So can you please share with my listeners a bit about you if they don't know who you are, a bit about Kimmy and what you do and where you're from?
Yeah, well, thank you first of all for having me today. I'm really excited to sit and have a chat with you about everything. But yeah, my name's Kimmy and I'm from the Wollongong area. I currently own 2 supplement stores in the Wollongong area, but a little bit of backstory about me. I actually used to be a professional dancer, and I also was a full-time coach in PT for a long time too, competed in a few bodybuilding shows. And now, I've just really changed up what I'm doing and being able to help a lot more people on a day-to-day basis on a larger scale. So It's fun. I love what I do.
Yeah, and I love that because some people may know you as a supplement store owner. And one thing about what I really loved when I first met you was really empowering that I can't really speak so much of Australia, but I know in New Zealand, the supplement industry and the stores are very male dominated. And some of them use them as this is in New Zealand, I'm not speaking of Australia, but some of them use them as a cover to sell different supplements. And it's very well known. And when I met you, you're a kick-ass businesswoman and you own not one elite supplement store, you own 2. So you own one in Shell Harbour, and you own the other one in Corrimal. And that just blew me away. And I just thought, wow, and it's all linked together, isn't it? Your dancing and the bodybuilding and the coaching and training and the supplements. It's all like it's almost like the holistic, you've got that complete package of wellness that you can offer to your clients.
Yeah, it's sort of like become like a roller coaster of a journey of how one thing like flowed into the other. And sometimes it did overlap at times. But it really comes back to the core aspect of people's health and fitness. Is what I love about it, and the wellness to do with what I do. I think it's one of the most important things in life, and no matter what avenue I seem to go down, it all reflects back to that same key component.
Because health is wealth, right? And
yes.
A lot of people don't do anything until something happens, or we can easily take it for granted. But with being the new year of January, a lot of people, I'm sure your shops are very busy with people coming in wanting to make drastic changes. And I think the underlying or the main number one would be, I want to lose weight.
100% it is. I'm actually shocked at how quickly we've gotten busy this year. Usually we see a little bit of a delay in people coming in, but this year I feel like health is at people's minds, like it's at the front part of their minds with everything that we've been through over the past few years. I feel like people aren't taking their health for granted. They're coming in, they're wanting to make changes. And of course, in the new year, we do see a lot of weight loss goals. It is the number one thing. People are like, I want to put myself first this year, and this is what I want to achieve. And it's great to see people are putting it first, but it's something that we don't want as a quick fix. We want to see them adapt to sustainable long-term change.
Yeah, because weight loss is great in some aspects, but it's more the health aspect of
exactly.
There's different health markers, and they're all different for everyone, depending on your lifestyle and your age and what you do. But I think also the weight loss comes as a side effect of all these things that you do for yourself.
100%. And like, that's what we're big on too. We want to make sure that people have the tools to sustain it long term. Like there's no point in doing something for that short-term gratification, which isn't going to long-term help your health markers. Like I find saying that I've heard before that I do love is, as a country, we don't have an issue with losing weight. We have an issue with keeping the weight off, or, keeping our health markers long term. We can get there, but how long do we stay there before reverting to old patterns? Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's a bit of a mind blow. When I heard that, I was like, that is so true. We see that yo-yo pattern happen a lot. And yeah, it's about having those tools to keep it long term that's going to be more important for us.
Because I think it's flipping it on its head. It's normally about weight loss, and it's 12 weeks, 10 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is, right? And
Yes.
people, I think a common thing that a lot of people will hear people saying is, oh, I can't wait to get to the end because I'm going to have the pizza, or I'm going to have the wine, or I'm going to have this. And it's like, well, if you've got that healthy lifestyle and you get the right help, you can incorporate that in your life. But no matter what age you are, we're like little kids. You can't have this, you can't have this. Well, guess what you want to have?
We want that, yes. I struggled with that for so many years coming from the dance background. I was so restricted and being forced to be restricted with food that I used to sneak eat a lot as a teenager when I was restricted on food choices. And it's only now that I've, past my 30s that I've actually learned how to have balance and moderation in food. Like, I can tell you now, I probably have 10 blocks of chocolate in my cupboard right now, but I'm at a stage where I have 2 to 4 squares a day, and that's all I need, where before it would be the whole block or nothing. And, I think that's something that a lot of us do need to learn. Things aren't forbidden, but we can have them if we want them in moderation.
Yeah. If you feel comfortable, I'd love to just chat to you a bit more about that, about restrictions and food and body image and all that kind of stuff. So with dancing, can you remember what that felt like, around how you felt in your body and around the food choices?
Yeah, so I'm like, looking back now, I was tiny. I was very petite, but I always had a more feminine figure than a ballerina needed, as I got told a lot. I had childbearing hips, always had that sort of more curvy shape. And of course, I left school to pursue my career in dancing at the age of 14. I actually lived with my dance teacher in Queensland, away from my parents. So yeah, I had a very different upbringing as far as that goes. Like, the girls and I who I went through, we would dance for 8 hours a day. We did distance education learning of a night for our schooling. And because we were in such a, tight-knit group, and we were with the passion to become professional dancers, there was a lot on our body image. And I was probably one of the girls who struggled with keeping my weight down the most. And unfortunately, back then, there wasn't as many educational tools out there as there are today. We still had that very old school thinking that you needed to starve yourself to achieve those results. And for me, it did create a bad body image on myself, that I thought I always had to be tinier. And the only way I could do that was by restricting what I ate. And, I tried every diet under the sun, but it always flipped back to me either sneak eating or binge eating. And it was something I struggled with for many years while I was still a dancer. And even post it, yeah.
What kind of dancing did you do?
I was fully ballet trained, so I was a classical ballerina. But when I went overseas, I ended up getting more into modern contemporary dancing, which was still very ballet based, but definitely it had its different things, and it did allow for a little bit more of a shapely body rather than that typical classical physique. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's incredible. So many questions.
It is. It's very different, upbringing as far as, schooling and stuff by doing that. But I feel like it was amazing opportunities too, because it led me on the direction of being able to help people now. So yeah.
But with that background, I know that leads into the bodybuilding background, which I can relate to. So your dedication and your discipline would have worked really well in the bodybuilding scene. I'm just interested to know, when you were doing all that restriction, and it's similar to bodybuilding but different. So with your dancing and with your food restriction, how did you dance for 8 hours? And I'm guessing we're not going to talk about what you ate, because I know a lot of people may listen to this who have all sorts of triggers. So we're not going to talk about anything like that. But living off empty, really, I imagine that you would have been. How did you just push through it?
Yeah, I did just push through it, and it was always with a goal in mind. I think I've always been a very goal orientated person, and it was always before a big ballet comp or our dance exams or things like that that I needed to restrict more to be able to get there. Unfortunately, I did have some bad advice along the way, that I had gotten a prescription for a weight loss pill to help me with energy. And I was way too young to be allowed that prescription. But a doctor did give it to me. And so that's sort of what fueled me to get through. But it was just definitely masking what, the hunger signals that I did have. And that's why I think every time I came off that, I would revert back into that sneak eating because the hunger was there. And yeah, just being a teenager, being told you can't eat bread, pasta, nothing, it does trigger you. And when you, as you said, when you can't have something, you want it more. And yeah.
So you were moving your body a lot. You would have been naturally hungry.
Very hungry.
And your body would have been craving quick. Our bodies are very smart. They know how we can get a quick fix straight away. So that's anything white, anything sugar, anything straight in the body, and you get that hit. So you would have been craving very much
all those foods. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you lived in New York for a time.
I did, yes. So I was lucky enough to get a scholarship to a school in New York, and I moved there a month after I turned 18. So I was a fresh-faced 18-year-old off to the other side of the world. And I do have my parents to thank for allowing me to do these opportunities. Not many parents let their daughters leave home at 14 nor move to the other side of the world at 18. So I was very
so hard. That was all you too. You worked very hard to get there.
Yeah. And they supported me every step of the way with just, allowing me to pursue what I wanted to do. It was brilliant. Yeah.
And what was it like? Yeah. What kind of experience did you have dancing and how, so you were from 14, now we're moving on to when you were 18. So living in New York and dancing, were you still dancing 8 hours a day?
Not quite as much, actually. I think that's something that did take me by surprise as well. In New York, it was probably about 6 hours a day. It's still a lot of movement. But yeah, it was a new technique I had to learn because it was a very specific technique that sort of Australia doesn't really utilize. It's the Martha Graham technique. And so I felt like I was starting back at basics again. And being 18, it was actually a big shock for me too, because I was always told dancers you had to be young to be a professional dancer, where with the Martha Graham technique, it was a lot to do with your emotions and connecting your emotions to dance. And I was probably one of the youngest people at the school, and it completely shocked me. And I remember being there and being told by one of the teachers, you need to live life a little bit more. You are so nurtured that you don't have life experience to put into your dancing. And it was, what a better place, I guess, to experience life than Manhattan.
Oh yeah. And it's interesting because you've crossed countries, you're in a different age, you're in a different culture. What messaging were you getting there, living there, about nutrition and your body and all that kind of stuff there?
It was actually very different. I think that's what changed my mind a lot about it. Yes, still as a dancer, we needed to have a fit, athletic physique, but it wasn't to that tiny physique that I needed as a ballerina. In America, it actually opened my eyes to curves. Women embrace their bodies over there in comparison to what I feel like in Australia. This is going back over 10 years ago. I feel like women in Australia were very much feeling like they had to be slim to wear the bikini on the beach, where in America, the women embrace their curves, and it was such a melting pot of cultures. Like, I went through dancing with girls from Brazil, France, and they were so comfortable in their bodies. And something as simple as the change rooms, I would go into the toilet cubicle to strip down, change my clothes, and then go out once I was fully dressed, where from these different cultures, they didn't care about being naked in front of each other or what their bodies looked like. They were just so comfortable in their own selves that it was so nice to be around, that it made me really start to value my own body as well.
Great woman to be around at that age.
Yeah, it was beautiful to see just the different cultures on how they embrace themselves. It was awesome.
Because when you travel at the age, it does really open your eyes up, and you just see things that now I can see as you're talking about them. It just takes you right back to as if you were there yesterday. It's so fresh, isn't it? You make good memories.
Yeah, it is. And it was just a really, growing up experience, I guess, for me too at that stage. And it feels like yesterday, but it's going back quite a few years now.
Don't you worry, I know the feeling. So so then how did you get into like the body transformation, coaching, personal training, bodybuilding? How did you get into that from your dancing?
Yeah, so I actually got into that while I was still living overseas. Some of my best friends I met while I was overseas were personal trainers. I was 18, didn't know anyone, and I would go to the gym a lot outside of my dancing because it felt like a safe place for me. And I met so many amazing coaches over there and just like personal trainers. They instantly became my friends, and I just really liked being around them, being in the gym setting. And while I was over there, I actually got my personal training certificate and started working at a gym in New York City. And from there, like I look back at my coaching then, and it's come a long way. It was very different back then when I was fresh, but it still sticks with me that just being in that environment around people bettering themselves was where I wanted to be. Yeah.
Yeah. So did it kind of ignite that spark in you, do you reckon, of helping people? And
It definitely did. Like it made me feel good to be able to help people. And seeing them achieve things, I know it's what gave me more energy, and what made my eyes light up and make me want to do more myself was seeing people achieve that. And yeah, it was from there I was sort of hooked with being around people trying to better themselves. Yeah.
And how did you get on stage? Because that's not for everyone, and people can look at the photos and be like, oh wow, that's, you look amazing and everything, and it's great to do, but it's very tough.
It is very tough. I actually started training for a comp when I was still living in New York. I had a friend and a coach who just said to me, you should do it. You're in here all the time. Let's do it. Stop being lazy with your training. He used to just call me lazy. And he's like, let's do this. And so I started prepping, but unfortunately my visa was expiring before there was any comps. And I moved home to Australia, and I just put it on the back burner for a while. I was working as a manager at Anytime for a bit. And then I ended up getting a job at Definition Fitness in Wollongong. And the owner there, Dan, really supported me with my goal of trying to achieve getting to the stage. And yeah, I decided to get a coach and work towards it. So yeah, it was great that I was in a gym setting. I had the support of my boss and everything as well, because getting to stage is very difficult. And just having everyone behind me to help me with the goal really helped me get there the first time, because it's the unknown. It was scary. I was hungry. You're tired and you just constantly go, will I be ready? But just having that good support network at that time, it was really great.
Yeah, it takes a bit of a village, doesn't it? It's not so much people think you have to have all your ducks in a row, but I don't know about you, and you've taken people from stage. You've had clients you've put up on stage too. So you've seen it from a client point of view and your own point of view. And a lot of people waiting for the right time.
Yeah.
But even in comp prep, shit hits the fan, things happen. So it's more like you've got a plan in place, and you've just kind of got to stick to that plan through the bitter end and keep going.
Yeah. I have to say, as a coach, I had a lot of girls come to me and they're like, you're sort of talking me out of doing a comp prep. And I just tried to be honest and open with them from day dot. I would ask them the questions like, do you have disposable income that you use towards the prep? Because it's expensive. I was like, is your partner and your family okay with you doing this? Like, you're going to need their support. Are you ready to, train twice a day if need be? And like, I would give them really the structure of what might happen, and would they be able to cope with, like, I would ask them their stress levels currently in their life, because I wouldn't want to add to their stresses if they already had high stress. And some girls were like, oh, I don't feel like I want to compete anymore. I'm like, it's not about that. I just am trying to be, this is the journey that can happen.
Yeah.
And are you ready for this? And
Yeah.
is your partner, because I don't want to see you lose your relationship over you stepping on a bodybuilding stage if your relationship is what you want to see succeed, because it does put a lot of pressure on aspects if you don't have the right support.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also I love that you're so honest, and also the fact that it's interesting that when you still want to have a goal and you want to do it, you don't really listen. Like I had my coach say to me, how are you good at acting? And I remember going, what do you mean, how am I good at acting? And she's like, well, when you go on stage, and because I was married to a bodybuilder and I'd been to so many comps over the years, I've seen so many competitors, and you see the novices and you go, oh yeah. But when you do it yourself, you feel crappy. Like you actually have, what you see on stage isn't how you feel.
Yeah, no, it isn't. And that's the one big thing. Like, you look amazing, but you probably feel at your worst.
Yeah, and that's hard to get around. And she said that to me. She said, how good are you at acting? I said, oh, I don't really know. And I was thinking that she was BSing me, because I was like, I thought it was just such a weird thing to say. And then when I was there, I was like, oh, yeah.
You understand it now.
Got it. Right. So, yeah, so then you did all that, and then you obviously that led you into coaching. So you got on stage. How was that for you?
Look, I loved it. I actually, getting on stage is where I felt at home. I think stepping away from dancing, I was missing something in my life. And even though I loved training and stuff, being on stage always felt like home for me. It's where I just felt myself. And
performer.
Yeah, I'm a natural born performer, I guess. And it was, even when I was dancing, I never had the best technique in the room, but I could make people feel something when I was on stage. And I think being on stage again with the bodybuilding really just completed what I needed at that time, of having that spark back, or having that performance back. And it just, it felt like home getting back up on stage. Yeah. And it was just very rewarding to see that the prep had paid off. But I just, that feeling of home on stage was probably the best part of my bodybuilding preps.
Oh, that's beautiful. I really like that you've had a good that's really nice.
Yeah.
So now where are you at today with everything, with your training and with, life and stuff?
Yeah. So like with my training and stuff at the moment, during COVID, owning 2 businesses really took its toll on me. I stopped coaching when COVID hit as well, because I had sort of been cutting back over the years, just with, trying to manage the 2 stores. I didn't have much time. And when COVID hit, it was sort of the time that I stepped back from my coaching. But I also sort of lost myself in that time as well, just with trying to keep 2 businesses afloat during COVID. And one had just opened a week before COVID hit. So probably the worst timing. I had staff that I had to pay that didn't get any government support because they were new staff and everything like that. I ended up working 7 days a week, was doing deliveries after work, and just completely burnt myself out. I, didn't have a love for training anymore. I didn't want to train, and I had never experienced that in my life. It sort of took a bit of time, but at the beginning of 2022, I said to myself, no, it is time to start doing what makes yourself feel good again. The businesses are in a place where you can step back. You will be better for the businesses. You'll be better for your staff if you start prioritizing yourself again. And, I've got so many amazing coaches around me who are friends, and they were all like, we're here to support you no matter what you want to do. And even my staff, they were like, you need to start focusing on yourself again. And I'm now back into my rhythm of training. I feel so much more amazing, and I'm not at the level where I'm going to compete again. It's not a priority for me now, but having my health, having my strength, and getting my mental health in a great position as well is what the focus was. I train 4 to 5 days a week. If I can only train 4, it's okay. I don't beat myself up about it, but it's just about moving and feeling good. Yeah.
What a beautiful balance that you have been able to get to, because a lot of people think, if you're listening to this at the moment and you think having a better body, I'm talking physically, not about your health, but having a skinnier body, leaner body, athletic, like whatever words you want to put in there, guys, it doesn't fix your life. It doesn't make you feel any better about yourself. And life is all up and down. Unfortunately, it's not a straight line. And I myself have been through some really tough times, and through a business owner and coming out the other end. When you're someone, it really resonated with me, Kimmy, when you said that. And I think it's going to resonate with people. I'm sure there's a time in your life where you felt really good about your body, even though we still didn't feel really good, or you were fit, or you used to play a sport, but you injured yourself and you can't do it. And it's so hard to get started again. Almost more for people that if you've never trained or never picked up a weight and you start, it's hard. But if you have always been into the gym and into doing some form of sport, and you stop because of an injury or you stop because of life, and to get back into it, I almost think it's a little bit harder, because you can't how good it feels.
Exactly.
But you feel it's such this weird double-edged sword, because you feel so uncomfortable in your body, you don't want to start, but to start, it's going to be good, but then you're also shitting yourself because you knew how good you used to be. So it doesn't make sense, does it?
It doesn't. And I'm sure, like yourself too, people know where you've had your physique before too. And because I was a coach for so many years, I felt the pressure returning back to the gym in an unfit state for myself. I was embarrassed to go. One of my coaches that I've been working with in the gym, he said it to me. He's like, "You found your confidence again." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You didn't walk in here today with a hoodie tied around your waist, trying to hide things." He's like, "You found your confidence again." And I was just like, I couldn't believe he had noticed that. And yeah, I think I just thought so much about what other people was. I was trying to hide that fact. People don't care, they're there to support you no matter what phase of your journeys you're on, and they just want you to feel good about yourself. And yeah, we've just got to do it for ourselves and not hold ourselves back from what we think other people are thinking about us.
I keep getting massive goosebumps, literally my hair. You're talking and I'm just getting goosebumps after goosebumps after goosebumps. I'm like, okay, Kimmy, yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you for being so open and honest and vulnerable, because I can really relate to this too. And it can be for ladies that want to go into a gym, but they're intimidated by it. And the thing is, I've taken time off too, and I've had a few false starts, and now I'm at that point where I need to do it. And it's great I'm having this conversation with you today, personal, and also everyone else can join us here. But walking into a gym and feeling uncomfortable, let me share you a little secret. I can guarantee, and a lot of bodybuilding men or men that do that sport as well, they're the most insecure people, and most of the time they're always covered up. Like, there's a few young lads that have stringers and stuff, but most of the time, like the old school bodybuilders or the guys that power lift or whatever, you'll always see, or bodybuilders mainly that are training, are pretty much covered up. And there's a reason for that, because we all feel insecure. But the beauty about you right now, sharing how you felt, we always have people that look up to us, and you sharing this, no matter where you've been at your journey, there's people that have looked up to you always and thought, wow, Kimmy's my idol. She's my hero. I, think she's amazing. And you forget that time that there's someone right now listening to you that really, idolizes you, and it's like, wow, okay, she aspires me. She's my inspiration. I'm going to walk into the gym, and because Barbara or Kimmy felt uncomfortable, I can do this.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think sometimes we look at things like social media and see like the perfect gym sessions or the perfect thing, but no one's journey is perfect. Everyone's had their ups and downs. It is a highlight reel, and it's sometimes we just got to be honest with about how we feel to get more people on that right journey for themselves as well. If we always make things seem picture perfect, it's not going to help people start bettering themselves. Like, we all have times where we're down or we're not confident or not, feeling ourselves, but that's okay. It's about making that change to try to, and not portraying that we're this perfect being who rocks up to the gym every day, feels motivated every day to go to the gym, eats the perfect diet, because it's just not realistic. And people need to know that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can just make one small change to better yourself, and that's in the right direction.
Yeah. Can we talk about weights?
Yeah, I love weight training.
Oh, I do miss them. I love them. And I've touched weights since I've been 16. And I think it's been 4 years now that I haven't been consistent. But weights is my happy place. You know how you said you feel at home when you're on stage? Yeah. I feel at home when I have that smell of the gym, or the clink of the plates, or the something in me changes. Something. Yeah. And I want anyone listening to this to know, if you're not doing some form of strength training now, and it doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be a machine, it can just be some dumbbells. Don't worry about what the weight is. It doesn't matter. You can get great results with whatever dumbbells.
Exactly. And that's it. Like, it's just getting that right. You don't even need dumbbells. You can use like weights at home. If you're a new mum, use your baby. You know, anything that adds that resistance is going to help strengthen you. And as us women sometimes forget, we are more prone to things like osteoporosis and everything because of our cycles. And strength training is a great tool for strengthening our bones. You know, it's going to help prevent, you know, as we get older, things deteriorating. So it doesn't have to be, as you said, doesn't have to be in a gym, doesn't have to be perfect, but try and add that resistance in, because it is going to help you long term. Yeah.
And I'm no personal trainer, so you're the expert here when it comes to me asking you this. But if you feel a little bit of a burn, that's okay, right? I know a lot of people are scared of, if you've never done weights before or you're fairly new, when you do some form of reps and you get to a point where it's starting to hurt or burn, people stop because they're frightened of it.
Yeah, no, that's
isn't it? That means it's good.
It is. And there's two things. Some people get frightened of that, or some people think that if they don't feel sore the next day, that they haven't trained hard enough. And that's not 100% either too. Like, I'm a big believer in tracking your progress. If, you know, you could do 12 reps at that weight 3 weeks ago, but now you can get 16 reps, that's progress. I want to see you progress. But if it means that you're not getting sore anymore, that's okay too. It still means you're progressing. You might just be getting better sleep, so you're recovering better, eating better. So don't be afraid about the burn, but also don't be disappointed if you're not sore from the burn the next day either. Yeah.
And you shouldn't be too sore that you can't do, if you're really, really sore, especially DOMS, like delayed onset muscle soreness. That's what DOMS stands for, if anyone has heard of it before and is like, doesn't know what it is. Day 2 or day 3, it can hit the worst.
Yes.
And if it's really, really bad, it means that you've overtrained.
Yes. And that's the thing, like, you don't want to overdo it, because the whole point of training or moving is that you can do it more often. You don't want to get to the point where you bash your body so much that you can't train for another week. It sort of defeated the whole purpose of why we're trying to move, to get ourselves more active. So, you know, don't beat yourself up to the point where you can't do anything. Just slow, steady steps and build it up from there.
Yeah. And can we talk about, why are women scared of weight training or resistance training?
Some women will still feel that resistance training might get them bulky or, you know, too big, but honestly, it does take a lot of training to gain muscle. But it's also a lot of really good nutrition that's going to take you to get bulky as well, like a lot of overeating for long periods of time. Muscle mass is hard to gain, and so I tell women, don't be afraid of getting bulky. It's just not in our DNA. Yes, you might create more shape or you will feel harder, but you're not getting massive big biceps where you won't be able to fit into your clothes either. It's so like women shouldn't be afraid of that.
Yeah, I think with some women, if some women listen to this and they're like me, they've got pretty good, decent amount of thighs and muscle mass on your quad. For me, it wasn't. I would train where my thighs actually swell up, and because that's blood flow. So
Yes.
people got to understand that. But again, that was overtraining too, is you got to listen to your body and hydration, all that stuff. So if you do train and your I'm probably talking mainly your quads, like your legs and stuff, feel a bit swollen and that, just have a look at what you're training, have a look and see if how much steps you've got in that day, how much water you've had, how much sleep, and stretching and looking after yourself. So don't be scared. It's just your body. It's normal. It's okay. Like for me, my body, my legs do swell. And there was a point where I was training a lot where I couldn't wear certain pants on certain days. Just, it wasn't mean I was getting massive or big or bulky. It was just my legs were just healing, and it's okay. I don't want women to be scared of it. And if you do feel a pump, like you do feel that they're a bit full, that's blood, that's like, it's a good thing, but you're not going to look like the picture that you have in your head, because 9 times out of 10 that picture you've had in your head is women or girls that have been training for a long time, that have dehydrated to condition to look like that, might be on some enhancers, might not be, but or genetics as well. So and it's such a, I think weights and resistance training has saved me a lot, with injuries or with certain things in life to get to where I'm at now with, I want to be like 85 and still pushing some weights at the gym, and, and I think it's so, now it's interesting because 20 years ago when I walked into a gym, it was not cool for a chick to train or whatever. Now it's kind of cool. And so I'm actually really happy for everyone that's in this kind of in your 20s and 30s now. I'm really happy for you guys because it's so much easier than for me. I was like the alien in the room and the weirdo that was training, like I was really the odd one out.
Yes. And I can tell you right now, like majority of my customer base are women these days in the supplement store. We have so many young girls coming in seeking advice, young women asking for creatine, which so many people were so scared of for so many years, that you would get fat off creatine. And there's just so much more education out there, empowering women to do weights, become stronger. And it's really liberating to see. Like sometimes I walk into the gym and there's more women than men. It's great. Just because there were so many women so scared for so long to venture into the boys section of the gym. I love seeing girls lift heavy, or like watching the guys not check out the girl, but being impressed by what that girl can lift. Like, holy shit, she's strong. Like, it's awesome to see. And I find guys are really like open to congratulate women for being strong now these days too, which is another massive shift within the gym scene.
Yeah, there's something that I've always found okay. So even 20 years ago, where I said, I'm nearly in my mid 40s, my God, but like 20 years ago when I was training, or even more, 25 years, no, not that old. Anyway, guys back then even would help me. So it's the perception of, oh my God, I don't want them to look at me. I go bright red in the face. I don't wear makeup when I train. I grunt. I'm nothing girly about me when I'm in the gym. But even 20 years ago, guys would always have an eye on me, as in they give me, "Are you right, mate? Like, do you need a hand with that?" Or I bench something, or I would on a machine, or sometimes I wouldn't know how to work something. Go, "Oh, hey, can you help me with this?" And they're so helpful.
Yes.
So helpful. They will help you. That's such a nice environment to be in when you're lifting and someone's next to you and they give you a bit of a thumbs up, or they're like, "Hey, good on you, mate," or "I'll see you here every week. Keep going."
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like that's just getting stronger in a lot of places as well. It's really nice to see. And like, I've always had that same experience too. People were always so encouraging, but it's, nice to see that more and more people are getting involved in that encouragement too.
Yeah, I love it. Because there's so much bullshit when it comes to health and fitness and wellness and mindset and whatever you want to call it these days. Great, there's more awareness, but with more awareness, there's more people out there wanting just to make money, and a lot of people that will give out wrong advice, or and especially it's really great that you've got your supplement store, because people come to you for that benchmark of, it's more, supplement stores used to be protein powder, creatine, fat burners that are now illegal in New Zealand and Australia, but back in the day we had some good fat burners. And then I would say pre-workout, and that would kind of be the gist of what health and wellness would be when you went to supplement it. But now you've got things like mushrooms and magnesium and moon milk.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, what do a lot of people ask for these days?
You know what? And it's so nice to see leading into the new year too. Fat burners are always what people want in the new year, but I've had a massive push towards ashwagandha, which is to help with stress hormones, help like regulate the cortisol levels, but also green powders as well. They're massive. So things like your greens, your ashwagandha, people are looking at their actual health side of things and not just from I need something to suppress my appetite. Greens, huge market, massive market at the moment, that people are realizing that sometimes life does get busy and I'm not eating my 7 serves of vegetables or 5 serves of vegetables that's recommended, and what can I do to maybe try and get enough micronutrients in a busy lifestyle. I know myself, I take a greens powder every day. Do I need it every day? Probably not, but I can tell you I do not eat 5 serves of vegetables 7 days a week. I get busy and I might just have, steak and rice or cook up a quick omelette and not add the veggies in just because life gets busy. And just by getting those extra micronutrients in, I feel better and I sleep better and my gut health works better and everything like that. So it's nice to see that shift in our industry, that we have things that people can look after themselves in different ways.
It's awesome. And I think too, with things like that I think it's life cycle. I know that you have those mushroom drops. So all of that kind of stuff.
I know there is a little bit of regulation going on with them at the moment, unfortunately. So we may see them lose the TGA just becoming a little bit stricter. So we may see them come off the shelf for a little while they regulate it a little bit more. But the Life Cycle is a great company, and products like lion's mane, there's turkey tail, you've got chaga, and they're all about like immune boosting. Lion mane is great for mental clarity and focus. So I'm finding like a lot of people who are trying to cut back on things like caffeine, that external instant hit, are switching to things like lion's mane or other nootropics to help them, induce, take in less caffeine. And that's really cool to see as well. People are looking at natural sources for that mental focus rather than just popping another energy can or anything like that.
Yeah, I love that. And is protein powder still as popular as ever?
It is. Protein powder is super popular. We are blessed these days that it does taste a lot better than back in the day. And there's just so many more choices as well. So you just don't have your dairy protein that not everyone can have. You've got your vegan, you've got your collagen, and, we've got things like egg white protein. So there's options for everyone, which is really good because not everyone can stomach a dairy protein, unfortunately, or people are, following a vegan diet where they can't have the dairy. So it's nice to see that there's options for people. And as I said, taste-wise, it has come so far. People tell me they don't like protein powder, and I said, you should have tried it 12 years ago. And you can tell me what it tastes, how good this one tastes.
20 years ago, I used to have it in water, which was unheard of. Like, no one had it in water, but I would have it in water, and it wouldn't even mix with the water properly, even in a blender. You have to, literally, it would be, back then there'd be only one or two brands of protein bars and 1 or 2 brands of protein powder, and that was it. Like, you didn't have anything else until, I don't know if you'll know the brand EAS, like Body for Life. That's really showing my age. When that all came in, then that started to get people more into, the bars came out that tasted okay and all that and that kind of started that whole movement of, having supplements that taste good.
Yes.
So I'd love to know what's something that you do as daily that's a non-negotiable for your own self-care.
Yeah, I have to say, it's something I have put a bit more focus on this past year, because during the COVID time, I lost my self-care a lot. But something that's a non-negotiable on a daily basis now is taking my dogs for a walk or just spending some quality time with them. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a crazy dog mum. But also one of my favorite things to do of a morning is to wake up and make my cup of coffee and just get back into bed and have like phone free time and just sit in bed and enjoy my coffee for 10-15 minutes. I don't care that I have to wake up that bit earlier to have it. That's just my time to be. It's sort of like my meditation. Yeah. I am terrible at meditating myself, but that's my form of meditation, and that's what I do on a daily basis. Make my coffee and go back to bed and drink it and just sit there in my own thoughts, or sometimes no thoughts, and that's my way to start a day on a good way. So yeah, it's something so simple, but I just found traditional meditation didn't work for me in the way I wanted it to. But for me, that's my time, and it's just goes to show that it doesn't have to be a traditional form to get the benefits of it. And that's something I had to look at too.
You do it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely, that's nice. And shout out to your boys that are there at the moment. So she's got these two. Yeah.
I was just, my head was moving because one of them has come to go to sleep underneath my chair right now, and I was just making sure he wasn't up to anything mischievous, and I'm very impressed at how quiet they've stayed.
They've been so good. Everyone's been quiet, so that's good. So as we close this podcast up, I'd love to ask you, if someone's, we've talked about a few things today. We've talked about obviously the different types of sport and being an athlete, moving through those different years of your life and the relationship with your body and food. And then we spoke a bit about competing and supplements and self-care and weight training, kind of all of that combined. Is there anything, you've got a bit of a golden nugget or something that you would like someone to know that may be listening to this right now?
Look, I think the biggest thing that I try and, when people ask me advice on different things is just be yourself. That's my number one thing. A lot of people know me as the supplement store girl these days, and that I love a chat. You can't come into my sup store without having a chat, but that's just who I am. I love to speak with people. I love getting to know people. And no matter what you choose to do in life, you've just got to find what your passion is and to be yourself while doing it. Because if you try and be someone else in it, it's not going to be a passion for very long. So that's probably my golden nugget. Just be yourself and back yourself as well.
Yeah. Honestly, you're such a powerhouse in every way and such a beautiful role model for everyone. So thank you. It's so if anyone's listening to this and they want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
They can reach out to me at any time on my Instagram, which will be tagged at some point, Kimmy Marie, or even pop into my stores if you are local to the Shell Harbour or Corrimal area. I love a chat. Everyone knows that about me. You can reach out to me on any of those platforms or in store at any time.
Yeah, and if you haven't been to one of her stores, to tell you, the merchandising is on point. Absolutely.
With the boxes on the floor.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You've always got stock coming in. You've always got new stuff. That's what I love about your store. But it's you can tell that the dedication and the care that you have for your business, for yourself, goes to your business and to your staff and to the people that come in. But everything is, it's definitely a huge point of difference. You walk in, and that's something that I just had to say to you, is the merchandising and everything is just wow.
Thank you. I like to make it like a kid in a candy store, but for fit adults.
It is.
People walk in and I see them get excited. That makes my day. When their eyes light up about the choices and variation, that makes my day, because that's how I am on the order forms. I see something new and colourful, I'm like, I've got to have that. And I like people having that experience when they come into the shop too. Like, they get excited to be there.
I'd love your shop to be my pantry. That's that's one of my goals one day, is to just open my pantry and I've got all these different potions and powders and stuff, and I go, oh, what do I feel like today?
Yes, I have to say that is one bonus of opening a sup store. I get to try a lot of things on a daily basis. But that's what my cupboard was looking like. And I remember I was living with my dad at the stage, and he's like, Kim, no more like protein powders. Like, there's no space for it. And a couple months down the track, I was like, Dad, I bought a supplement store, and he could have rolled over in his grave, but more like, no, he's alive and well. But the look I got was like, you did what? So yeah,
you get it. Oh, thank you for being my guest and taking some time. I know you're really busy, so just thank you for taking some time out today to be my special guest on my podcast. It's been amazing.
Thank you for having me. It's been great chatting to you. Obviously, we've got a lot of similarities in what we do and believe it. It's just so easy to have a really good chat with you. It's so nice.
It's been awesome, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Sounds great. Can't wait.
Yay! Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and it has inspired you on your self-care journey. Please feel free to share this with a friend and subscribe over on Apple Podcast. I really love hearing your feedback, so guys, please feel free to write a review on Apple and let me know which part of this episode resonated with you the most. To fall in love with yourself is the first secret to happiness. To find out a bit more about Self-Care Studio or the Studio Chat podcast, head over to my Instagram page, self_care_studio, or on my website, selfcarebybarbarathomson.com.au. Really look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Look after you. And I'll catch you soon. Bye!